So my financial knowledge is mostly through the mistakes that I've made throughout my life and what I've learned from it. In this video, I will go over everything I would do if I had to start from scratch. Now, life in general does not have a reset button. It would be nice to have one, but unfortunately it doesn't. No matter whichever age demographic you belong to, you can start from anywhere. It's never too late. By the end of this video, you will realize whatever stage of life you're in, these steps can be followed and easily adopted and change the trajectory of your life to any direction that you may want to take. For instance, I moved here almost 20 years ago with my family of 4 for a better life. Prior to moving here, the quality of our lives were decent. We moved into a 500 square foot apartment with 4 people living like sardines. And at that point, my struggle for a better life started. I wanted to achieve the financial freedom that everyone was talking about and get myself to the other side of the struggle towards a better life. And within this journey, I had to make mistakes to learn from it. As I didn't have any proper financial education, my mistakes were my lessons. And now that I think about it, I had to make those mistakes to move forward and never make the same mistakes again. And the first thing that I would do if I had to start from scratch is to have a perspective shift. I was conditioned from a very early age, like many, that money is scarce. You don't need money to be happy. Agreed. Perhaps money is not the only thing to be happy, but it's the most important thing to be happy. Think of it this way. Your happiness comes from your lifestyle or being able to live a life of comfort. Your comfortability correlates with happiness. Being able to provide and satisfy all your needs and for your family is where the comfortability lies. Now, if you're not comfortable, you're not happy. And the only way you can be comfortable is by having money. Another belief is money is scarce. Most people don't realize that money is abundant in the universe. Plenty of money going around and the economy is turning by it. I decided to find my way to make mine. And one way I would do is by creating an investment budget. I didn't know the importance of creating an investment budget. That's because of my lack of financial knowledge, plus being young and stupid and not really thinking about my future. But I didn't realize that it was actually my attitude towards the money that could either make me money or lose money. There are 3 kinds of money users: spenders, savers, and masters. The spenders basically spend everything that they receive, not really thinking about their future. However, the opposite side of the spectrum are the savers, who save money relentlessly, not realizing that money is actually a tool for happiness. They save money at the cost of the enjoyment of their life. And then there are the masters. They understand that the money is actually a tool for a happy and a healthy life. If you invest wisely, it will bring you returns with which you can actually grow your empire with. One way that I would grow my empire if I had to do it from scratch is by automating my investments. I would have definitely automated my investments consist of saving and wealth growth by setting up automatic contribution to the investment accounts. The benefits of diversifying your income portfolio along with investing in ETFs are basically cheat code for long-term wealth accumulation. But instead, I was the spender kind. And speaking of myself, hi, my name is Tasir Mirza. I'm a realtor and a diversified investor based in South Florida. And on this channel, I make finance-related videos based on my mistakes. Feel free to jump around the timestamp below if you'd like to save some time. And while you're down there, consider liking the video. Now, because I was a spender kind, one thing that I would not do if I had to start from scratch is to spend my earned money again. As I was not very smart with my money, I didn't realize the difference between my earned money and the return money from my investment. Had I known any better, I would have utilized the money that I was earning into investments, and the return from that investment I would have used to live. Reason behind that, my principle would have always been safe. And with this strategy, I would have been on the safe side, not spending my own money and didn't really have to take any debt. And when it comes to debt, I didn't understand there are different kinds of debt. There are good debts and there are bad debts. Had I known any better, I would have used strategic debt. If you take a debt and you make investment with that debt, which in return brings you profit, that's a good debt. However, if you don't utilize your debt, but use that to finance your lifestyle, which in return does not bring you any value whatsoever, that is a bad debt. That's unfortunately the recipe for disaster, as you're not building any asset with that. Now, building asset with good debt, you are leveraging your debt to invest, which focuses on creating you a new revenue stream, which in return brings you more profit, hence more money. Due to my lack of knowledge, I didn't realize that building asset is a crucial part of your financial freedom and your investment journey for the future. One way I would have done that is by thinking bigger. I did not realize that the ratio between what I make and what I spend is wealth. With this lack of knowledge, I had to pay the lifestyle inflation tax as my income was growing. What I should have done was to avoid this inflation by living within my means. I'm not gonna lie, I did splurge on a lot of stuff that I didn't really need, and did not realize that my goal was to maintain a wide wealth ratio to build financial stability and freedom so I didn't have to worry about any other issue instead of financing the lifestyle as it was growing. But I'm also a believer that money is a tool for happiness. If buying material stuff is what makes you happy, which it did for me at that time, by all means, go ahead and do so. But what I didn't realize that there's a way of doing that, as opposed to just keep spending to pay the lifestyle inflation tax. Had I known any better, I would have adjusted internal money thermostat slowly to raise my baseline, thinking the slower increments as my income was growing. This would have helped me to acclimate a larger sum of money and would make it easier to handle substantial financial opportunities. Now, in order for me to get more financial opportunity, had I known any better, I would have invested in myself a lot sooner to increase my value. Every single one of us has a set of skills that we may not be aware of. Every single one of us. Yes, that includes me too. I didn't realize that I had a skill of speaking and very passionately about money, albeit it took a while to realize that, but better late than never. Not that I realized that this is something that I'm passionate about doing, I created this YouTube channel to talk about something that I like talking about all the time. Now, I know that I'm not the best, perhaps not good, but one thing for sure, I know I'm not bad either. And with every single one of these videos, I'm making myself better. However, it's a fine line between honing your talent and going through analysis paralysis. I went through an analysis paralysis for over a year just creating this channel to make everything perfect. But when I was actually started making videos, I realized that the journey would have been a lot more sooner and easier had I just started as opposed to doing my analysis. And speaking of analysis, I see that 97% of my viewers are not subscribers. Now, I have a goal to grow this community 1,000 strong by the end of the year. And since I'm investing in myself, I want you to invest in the subscribe button below. Now, with analysis, one thing that I would have done is at the time of my earlier years, I would have taken a lot more risks than I had. I didn't realize that as I was growing older, I was gonna have a lot more responsibilities and probably taking risk is not gonna be easier. But back then I didn't have any of these responsibilities. Neither I had a lot of money, but whatever I had, I would have taken more risk than I could have. Now, obviously we didn't have NFTs or cryptocurrency since recently. So if you're on that boat, that you want to take that risk, my advice would be to avoid risky temptations. One thing that I can tell by myself, neither then nor now, I don't mess with anything that I don't fully understand. Sometimes the investment may look too good to be true. 9 out of 10 times, it is actually too good to be true. I would always stay away from high interest debt, such as credit card loans, payday loans, which actually are roadblocks in your financial journey and your financial well-being. I had to deal it the hard way with my credit card loans, completely diminished my credit score and my financial well-being. I had to turn that boat around, taught myself how to properly navigate through it and make it out of it. Instead of high interest credit card debt, I would invest in learning high income skill. I didn't realize the importance of diversified income sources and a safeguard against job loss and economic downturn because of my lack of financial knowledge. High income skill could be a lifeline in situations like those. And if you want to learn more about high income skills, watch this video here. I didn't really need, if I had to start from scratch, I went through an analysis